My sister got an $86,000 car for Christmas. I got a rent bill. I walked away and left a note. Christmas at my parents' house always looked better on camera than it felt in the room. By the time I pulled into the cul-de-sac that December, the front lawn already had the inflatable reindeer lineup, the wreaths lined up perfectly, and the porch lights pulsed in that synchronized pattern my mom liked because it looked expensive. I parked behind my sister's SUV, last year's model, leased, always clean, and sat for a moment with my hands on the steering wheel. I'd brought a pie from the bakery near my apartment. I'd wrapped it in a dish towel so it would stay warm. The towel was from my own kitchen. Washed so many times it had gone thin, but it was clean and it did the job. I walked in carrying it like it mattered. Inside, the house smelled like cinnamon and pine cleaner. My mom had holiday music playing at a volume that made conversation sound like a performance. My dad was in his usual spot near the kitchen island, sipping something amber, watching the living room like he was waiting for someone to do something worth interrupting. My sister Harper turned when she saw me. Her smile hit her face fast, practiced. "There she is," she said, loud enough for my mom's phone to pick up. My mom was already filming, phone held chest high like it was casual. Harper stepped in and kissed the air near my cheek. Her perfume was sharp and sweet. "You made it." "Hi," I said. I handed my mom the pie. "I brought dessert." My mom glanced at it like she was assessing a gift bag from a coworker. "No, that's nice. Just a placement." I set it down and smoothed my coat, like small motions could press my nerves flat. Harper's eyes flicked over my outfit, black sweater, jeans, boots. Not ratty, not trendy. Practical. She did that scan every time, like she was checking whether I had finally decided to compete. "Still working a lot?" she asked. "Yes," I said. "What are you doing now?" my dad asked, not unkindly but without interest, like he was asking what time the game started. "Operations coordinator," I said. "Same place." "Oh, right," he said. "The nonprofit thing. It's a housing program," I corrected gently. He nodded like it was all the same. Harper leaned on the counter and laughed a little. "So, still saving the world one spreadsheet at a time?" My mom laughed too. The phone stayed pointed at the room. I didn't react. I had learned what reaction bought me in this house. A label. Sensitive, dramatic, difficult. I unwrapped the dish towel and folded it neatly. My hands were steady. That mattered. Christmas Eve dinner moved like it always did, plates clinking, my mom narrating the menu like she was hosting a cooking segment, Harper telling stories about her clients in a tone that implied she was always the smartest person in any room. Harper was in marketing now. That's what she told people. The more accurate version was that she bounced between jobs, always leaving right before they stopped appreciating her. She'd married Evan 2 years ago, a quiet man who looked perpetually apologetic. He worked in finance, did well, didn't talk much. In our family, money talked enough for everyone. I'd never disliked Harper when we were kids. We'd been close until the dynamic shifted and stage shifted. Somewhere along the way, she became the one who was celebrated, and I became the one who was corrected. If I did well, it was expected. If she did well, it was proof of her brilliance. If I struggled, it was my fault. If she struggled, it was because other people were jealous. That was the rule set. "Christmas, just put it under brighter lights." After dinner, my mom clinked her glass and announced we'd be doing gifts in the living room where it looks cozy. Translation, where the tree and the fireplace and the matching stockings created the right background. Harper's stocking was embroidered with her name in looping script. Mine was plain red. It always had been. My mom set her phone on a tripod now. "A tripod!" she'd planned. "This? Okay," she said, smiling directly at the camera. "We're recording for the family album." Harper sat closest to the tree, of course. My dad sat in his recliner. Evan sat next to Harper, hands folded. I took the spot on the far end of the couch, where the lighting hit my face from above and left shadows under my eyes. My mom started with small gifts, ornaments, scented candles, novelty mugs with inside jokes that weren't meant for me. Then she reached behind the tree and pulled out a glossy envelope. "This," she said, drawing out the moment, "is for Harper." Harper gasped, already performing, hands flying to her mouth. Tough. My mom turned slightly so the camera got the best angle.
"Open it!"
Harper opened it carefully, like it might be something fragile. Her nails were red, fresh, and she angled her hands so the camera would catch them. Inside the envelope was a printed card, thick paper. She read it, eyes widening, then screamed the way people do when they know they're being watched. No. No way. My mom leaned forward. Tell them, hell. Harper looked at all of us, tears suddenly present but not quite falling. It's the down payment confirmation. My dad's mouth curved like he'd been waiting for the payoff. That's right. Harper stood up. You guys bought me a car? Not just any car, my mom said. She reached into her pocket and jingled something. Keys. She held them up like a prize. Come on. Evan blinked. Wait, what? Harper grabbed his arm. Babe. I watched the way Evan looked confused, then quickly rearranged his expression into supportive. In our family, confusion was not allowed when it interrupted a celebration. We walked outside as a group, the cold hitting our faces. The driveway was lit by the garage lights, and there it was, a brand new SUV, metallic gray, still wearing a big red bow across the hood like a staged proposal. Even from where I stood, I could tell it wasn't the mid-range package. The wheels were larger, the trim sharper, the interior visible through the glass looked like cream leather. Harper screamed again and ran to it, hands on her head, then on the door handle, then on the hood, like she had to touch it in multiple places to make it real. My mom was filming, circling Harper like a documentarian. Tell them what it is, Harper laughed, breath visible in the air. It's the... She looked at my dad. Fully loaded, my dad said. 86,000 out the door. Merry Christmas. He said the number like it was a sentence meant to land. And it did. You could feel it settle into the night air. Harper cried properly then, leaning into my mom. My mom cried too, face pressed into Harper's hair, the camera still catching everything because it was on the tripod, because this had all been arranged. Evan stood beside them, one hand on Harper's back, eyes flicking to my dad like he wasn't sure if he was supposed to say something. I stood a little behind everyone, hands in my coat pockets, watching. I wasn't shocked by the car. Not exactly. Harper had been getting the big things for years. The graduation trip. The wedding contributions. The starter furniture gift. That was nicer than anything in my apartment. The family help always flowed toward her like gravity. What made my stomach tighten wasn't the car itself. It was the way my dad glanced at me after he said the number, like he was checking whether it stung. We went back inside, cheeks cold, and Harper kept holding the keys. She wouldn't let go of them. She kept saying, I can't believe this, and everyone kept replying, you deserve it. My mom reset the tripod because we hadn't finished. Okay, she said, brisk now. Your turn. She looked at me. Not warm, not cruel, just procedural. She handed me an envelope too. Plain, no ribbon. It wasn't thick paper. It was a white window envelope, the kind you get in the mail. My name was printed on it in black text. No handwriting, no flourish. I stared at it for a second longer than necessary. My mom's smile twitched. Well, she said, as if I were delaying for effect. I slid my finger under the flap. The paper inside was folded once, crisp. I pulled it out and unfolded it. At first, my brain tried to interpret it as something else. A gift certificate.
A voucher, a card. But it was a statement. My landlord's letterhead at the top.
The property management company underneath. My address. An unit number. Notice of rent balance due. A number bolded. Then another line. Payment requested by January 3rd. My fingers held the paper at the edges. The room noise dimmed around it. I could still hear the holiday music, faintly. I could still see Harper's keys glinting in her lap. I could still feel the warmth of the fireplace. My mom leaned in toward me, voice bright for the camera. Read it. I lifted my eyes. It's a rent bill. Harper laughed, quick and sharp. No way. My dad gave a small shrug. It's not a bill. It's a reminder. It's a notice, I said. My mom waved her hand, like details were annoying. We're helping you. That's the point. Harper tilted her head, smiling like she was on a talk show. You always say you're independent, so here's a chance. I didn't move. I didn't fold the paper. I didn't tear it up. I just held it. My mom's smile stayed in place but hardened around the edges.
We covered Harper's down payment because it's an investment, she said. It's a reliable car.
Safety. Resale value. You're renting, which She shrugged again. You know, my dad leaned back. If you're gonna live like that, you should at least pay on time. I looked at the date in the corner. The statement had been printed 2 days ago. I hadn't missed rent. I'd paid it. I always paid it. My bank account had the transaction. I knew the number. I knew immediately that this wasn't about being late. This was about control. My mom reached forward and tried to take the paper from my hand like it was hers. I kept my grip gentle but firm. I'll hold on to it, I said. Harper laughed again, softer now. It's not that deep. My mom's voice sweetened. Honey, don't make a face. It's Christmas. The camera was still recording. Red light on. My mom had set the angle to capture my reaction, whatever it might be, so I gave her nothing. I folded the notice carefully along the crease. I slid it back into the envelope. I set it on the coffee table, then I stood up. My mom's smile faltered. Where are you going? To get some air, I said. Harper's voice followed me. Don't be dramatic. I didn't answer. I walked calmly to the entryway, put on my coat, and stepped outside. The cold was clean. The street was quiet. A few houses down, someone set off a small burst of fireworks, bright, brief, pointless. I walked to my car, got in, and closed the door. My hands stayed steady on the steering wheel again. I didn't leave right away. I opened my notes app. I typed slowly, choosing words that would hold up later if anyone tried to twist them. Then I took a photo of the rent notice through my windshield, the envelope visible on the seat beside me, time stamped. Location tagged automatically. I stared at the house for a few seconds, lights glowing behind the curtains. Inside, my family was probably still laughing, still filming, still telling Harper she deserved it. I wasn't going to argue in that living room with a tripod pointed at my face. I wasn't going to do what they expected. I started the engine, and before I backed out of the driveway, I left something behind.
A note, not emotional.
Not angry, just clear. I slid it into the pocket of my mom's coat, hanging by the door, the way I'd seen her do with other people's mail. Then I drove away into the cold night, knowing exactly what I'd just set in motion, and knowing they wouldn't realize it until it was too late. I didn't go home right away. I drove until the neighborhood decorations thinned out, until the streets went dark and ordinary. I parked under a street lamp near a closed grocery store and sat there with the engine off, the cold creeping back in through the glass. Only then did I open my banking app. The rent payment was there, processed, cleared, time-stamped 3 days before Christmas. Same amount as always, same account as always. I took screenshots, one with the transaction visible, one with the confirmation number, one with the date highlighted by the app's own interface. I didn't annotate anything. I didn't add commentary. I just captured what existed. Then I opened my email. The property management portal had sent the usual automated receipt when I paid. Subject line, payment received, date and time. Unit number, balance, 0 cents. I saved the email as a PDF. Only after that did I open the note app again and reread what I'd written in the car before I left my parents' driveway. It was short. I'm leaving early. The notice you gave me doesn't match my payment records. I'll follow up directly with the property manager on Monday. Please don't contact my landlord about me again. That was it. No accusation, no explanation, just a boundary, stated quietly. I sent a copy of the note to myself by email. Subject line, 12/24, family visit. Then I drove home. The next morning, my phone buzzed at 8:14 a.m., a text from my mom. Why would you embarrass us like that? I read it once. Then I set the phone down and made coffee. At 8:27, another message. We were just trying to help. At 8:42, you could have talked to us. I didn't reply. I waited until Monday. At 9:02 a.m., I called the property management office. I knew the routine. Old music. A recorded voice reminding me they were experiencing higher than normal call volume. I waited anyway. When a woman finally answered, I asked her name and wrote it down. I received a notice saying I had a balance due, I said, but my payment was processed. I'm trying to understand why that notice was generated. There was a pause. Keyboard clicks. That notice wasn't system generated, she said. I sat up straighter. What do you mean? I asked. It was manually requested, she said. Someone called in and asked us to issue a balance reminder. I didn't interrupt her. They claimed to be acting on your behalf, she continued. Said they were a family member helping you stay organized. I closed my eyes. Do you have a record of the call? I asked. Yes, she said. Date, time, and name. Could you read that to me? She hesitated, then said, the caller identified herself as your mother. The word landed cleanly. No drama, no shock, just confirmation. And the date? I asked. December 22nd. 3:46 p.m., 2 days before Christmas, 2 days before the envelope appeared under my parents' tree. I thanked her and asked for a copy of the call log and the request email. She said she could send it to the address on file. Please do, I said. And just to be clear, my account is current? Yes, she said. You're fully paid. When the email came through, I saved everything. The call log showed my mother's full name, her phone number.
She ended with, "We love you, let's move forward."
I read it once, then I forwarded it to myself. Subject line, Mom, 1/2. I didn't respond. Instead, I started organizing. I created a timeline document. Dates, times, screenshots embedded cleanly. No commentary beyond factual notes. December 22nd, property manager call. December 24th, rent notice presented on camera. December 24th to public gift disparity. December 26th, voicemail. January 2nd, email. I added links to Harper's public post. Screenshots with visible timestamps and engagement counts. Not because I cared about likes, but because context mattered. I added my bank statements for the last 12 months, every rent payment, on time. I added my lease. I added my credit report. Everything tidy. Everything quiet. By mid-January, the family group chat lit up again. My mom announced a delayed holiday dinner since things were calmer now. My dad added a thumbs up. Harper suggested a restaurant with valet parking and posted the menu link. I didn't respond. A private message from my mom followed. We need to talk before this gets out of hand. I stared at that sentence for a long time. Gets out of hand. As if I'd been the one waving it around. I replied with one line. I'm available at the dinner. She didn't answer for an hour. Then, fine. The dinner was scheduled for January 28th, a Saturday. My parents had booked a private room at the restaurant Harper liked. Mirrored walls, low lighting, a place where people spoke loudly because they wanted to be overheard. I marked the date in my calendar. I didn't tell anyone at work. I didn't warn anyone. But I kept preparing. The week before the dinner, something unexpected landed in my inbox. An automated notification from my credit monitoring service. New account activity detected. My heart rate didn't spike. It never did when I had information. It only spiked when I didn't. I opened the alert. A credit inquiry. Hard pull. Auto financing. My name. I stared at the screen. I hadn't applied for anything. The lender name was familiar. The same bank Harper had tagged in one of her car posts. I didn't panic. I called the bank. After navigating the menu, I reached a representative and asked why there was an inquiry on my credit. She asked for verification. I provided it. There was a pause. It appears your information was used as a cosigner reference, she said. The application was submitted under a different primary name. Which name? I asked. She read it. Harper's. I closed my eyes. And who submitted my information? I asked. The contact email on file, she said, belongs to... She stopped herself, then continued carefully. A third party listed as an authorized family contact. I asked for the documentation. She said she could send it. When the email arrived, it contained the application summary, Harper's name, Evans' income, the car VIN, and under co-signer, proposed, my full name. My social, my date of birth. There was a checkbox marked pending a awaiting signature. Below it, a note, family assisting with approval. I sat very still. Then I saved everything. This wasn't just humiliation anymore. This was identity misuse. Financial exposure. A line crossed so cleanly it almost felt intentional. I added the documents to the folder. I renamed it January Key Evidence. and for the first time since Christmas Eve, I knew exactly how this was going to end. The restaurant had a valet stand and a glass entryway that reflected you back at yourself before you went in. I arrived 6 minutes early. That mattered. I wore the same black sweater I'd worn on Christmas Eve. Clean. Prest asked. Familiar. I wanted nothing about me to feel like a performance. The host led me to the private room at the back. Mirrored walls, round table, low amber lighting. There were already water glasses set at each place. Condensation running down the sides in slow lines. My parents had chosen the table position with the best reflection angles. You could see everyone from everywhere. No blind spots. I took the seat farthest from the door. Harper arrived next, heels clicking, coat draped over her arm like it was part of the outfit. Evan followed, carrying himself carefully, like someone trying not to knock anything over. Harper smiled when she saw me. It didn't reach her eyes. "You made it," she said. "Yes," I replied. My mom came in right after them, phone already in her hand. "You're good with money." She wasn't filming, but she held it the same way, like it was an extension of her. My dad closed the door behind them. We sat. For the first 10 minutes, it was surface level, normal. Complaints about traffic. A comment about the lighting. Harper ordered sparkling water with lime and mentioned casually that the car was already at the detailer because the dealership didn't do a good enough job. My mom laughed too loudly. Evan stayed quiet. The waiter took our orders. As soon as he left, my mom leaned forward, folding her hands like she was moderating something. "I'm glad we could all get together," she said. "I think we all need to move past misunderstandings." She looked directly at me when she said it. I nodded. "That's why I'm here." Harper crossed her legs and smiled. "Good." Because Christmas was weird. My dad cleared his throat. "Let's not rehash it." "I'm not," Harper said. "I'm just saying, leaving like that?" "In front of everyone?" I met her eyes. "Everyone was filming!" My mom's lips pressed together. "We film family moments," she said. "That's not new." "No," I agreed. "It isn't." There was a pause, the kind that stretches just long enough to be noticed. My mom shifted in her chair. "We're concerned about you," she said. "That's all this is." "Concern doesn't involve my landlord," I replied. Harper scoffed. "You're still on that?" "Yes," I said. Evan looked up. My mom exhaled, a practiced sound. "I already explained that." I was helping. I didn't argue. Instead, I reached into my bag and took out my phone. I placed it face down on the table. "I brought documentation," I said calmly, "in case there were questions." Harper laughed. "You always do this. You make everything so official." I didn't respond. My dad leaned back. "What are you trying to prove?" "Nothing," I said. "I'm just answering concerns." The waiter returned with bread. The interruption was almost a relief. Plates were set down, butter placed carefully. When he left again, the room felt smaller. My mom gestured toward my phone. "So what is it?" I turned the phone over and unlocked it. "On December 22nd, I said, you contacted my property management company." My mom's eyebrows lifted slightly. "Of course I did. You identified yourself as acting on my behalf." Shrugged. "I'm your mother." I nodded. "You requested a rent balance notice." Harper rolled her eyes. "It's a reminder. You're acting like she forged documents." I tapped the screen and slid it toward the center of the table. The call log was visible. My mom's name. Her number. The time. Evan leaned forward and looked at it. My dad didn't move. "You told them I might be falling behind," I continued. "That wasn't true." My mom's voice tightened. "You never tell us anything." "I pay my rent on time," I said. "Every month." "Here are the records." I swiped to the bank statements. 12 months. Green check marks. Dates aligned. Harper glanced at them, then looked away. "Okay, so you're responsible." "Gold star." I didn't react. "The notice was printed and placed under the tree," I said. "Presented on camera, in front of everyone." My mom straightened. "We didn't think you'd take it that way." "It was designed to be taken that way," I replied. My dad finally spoke. "This is getting excessive." "I'm not finished," I said, still calm. Silence settled. I took a breath. "After Christmas," I said, There was a credit inquiry on my account. Harper froze. My mom's eyes flicked to her for half a second. It was subtle. It was enough. A hard pull, I continued. Auto financing. Harper laughed, but it was brittle. What does that have to do with us? I turned the phone again and slid it closer to her. The application summary filled the screen. Her name, the lender. The car VIN, and beneath it, my information. Seven leaned in sharply. What is that? Harper's face went pale in a way makeup couldn't cover. It's nothing, she said quickly. It's just paperwork. They ask for references. They don't ask for social security numbers for references, I said. My mom stood up halfway, then sat back down. Harper? Harper's eyes darted.
I didn't sign anything. That's not what this shows, I said.
It shows my information entered as a proposed co-signer. Evan looked at her, really looked. You said your parents handled the financing, he said. They did, Harper snapped. They were helping. My mom opened her mouth, then closed it. I kept my voice even. My information was used without my consent. That's not help. The room felt tight now. The mirrored walls reflected us all from multiple angles. No escape from the tableau. My dad rubbed his temple. This is a family matter. It stopped being just that when my credit was involved, I said. Harper's voice rose. You're blowing this up. It didn't even go through. It was pending, I replied, waiting for my signature. Evan pushed his chair back slightly. You were going to sign her up without telling me? Harper turned on him. I wasn't. The waiter knocked softly and opened the door. Everything okay in here? My mom smiled too fast. Yes. Thank you. The door closed again. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't interrupt. I let the silence do its work. I didn't come here to argue, I said finally. I came to set boundaries. My mom's hands shook slightly as she reached for her water. I won't allow my finances, housing, or identity to be used as leverage or optics, I continued. Not privately. Not publicly. Harper scoffed again, but it sounded forced now. If this happens again, I said, I'll escalate it formally. My dad stiffened.
You'd report your own family.
I'd protect myself, I replied. Evan stood up. I need some air. He left the room without looking at Harper. My mom looked like she might cry, but there was calculation in her eyes too. You're threatening us. Oh? I said. I'm informing you. Harper leaned back, arms crossed. So what? You want an apology. I looked at her. I want distance, I said. The waiter returned with our meals, clearly sensing the tension. Plates were placed carefully, like offerings. No! One touched their food! My dad sighed. Let's just eat. I nodded. I will. I picked up my fork and took a bite. The normalcy of the action felt almost surreal. Harper stared at me like she was trying to decide whether to laugh or scream. My mom dabbed at her eyes. No one spoke for several minutes. I finished my meal. When I set my fork down, I reached into my bag again, not for my phone this time, but for a single sheet of paper. I placed it on the table, folded. This is for you, I said, sliding it toward my parents. My mom hesitated, then opened it. Her face changed as she read. My dad leaned over her shoulder. Harper tried to see it too, but my mom pulled it closer, instinctively. What is this? My dad asked. It's a notice, I said. Not a threat, just information. My mom's voice dropped. You can't be serious. I am, I replied. Harper laughed once, sharp and nervous. Oh, what did you do? I stood up and put on my coat. You'll understand soon, I said. I didn't wait for permission. As I walked out past the valet stand and into the cold January night, I knew the next part wouldn't happen in that room. You're good with money. It would happen where they'd always felt safest, in front of people who believed their story. The first call came 3 days later. It wasn't from my parents! It was from the bank! The representative spoke carefully, the way people do when there's already a file open. She confirmed my identity, then thanked me for submitting the documentation. We've withdrawn the application, she said, And we flagged the account for attempted unauthorized use of personal information.
I wrote down the case number, she continued.
Because your information was entered without consent, we're required to escalate this internally. Our fraud department may contact other parties involved. I understand, I said. Before we ended the call, she asked if I wanted to place a credit freeze. I already have, I replied. That part had been in the note I left on my mother's coat. Not emotional, just factual. As of December 24th, my credit is frozen. Any attempt to use my identity will generate alerts. They hadn't known what it meant then. They did now. 2 days after the bank call, my mother showed up at my apartment. She didn't text first. Ever. She knocked sharp and fast, like urgency could force compliance. I opened the door and stayed in the doorway. Her coat was buttoned wrong. Her hair wasn't done the way she usually did it before confrontations. You went too far, she said. I didn't step aside. What do you need? You reported us, she said. Her voice dropped on us, as if I'd betrayed a country. I reported inaccurate information, I replied, and protected my identity. She shook her head. They called your father? They called Harper. Do you know how this looks? Yes, I said. It looks accurate. Her mouth opened, closed. You could have handled this privately, she said. I tried, I replied. She stared at me, really stared, like she was seeing the version of me that didn't fold. They're asking questions, she said quietly, about the rent notice, about the timing. I didn't respond. Harper's loan is on hold, she continued. Evan's parents know now. The dealership knows. People are talking. I nodded once. My mom's eyes filled, but there was anger behind it. You embarrassed us! I kept my voice even. You embarrassed yourselves. She flinched like I'd raised my voice. I hadn't. You need to fix this, she said. I didn't break it, I replied. She stood there for a long moment, then straightened her coat and stepped back. You've changed, she said. Yes, I agreed. She left without another word. The next wave wasn't quiet. Harper tried to get ahead of it. She posted a story. White background, black text. Some people will sabotage you and call it boundaries. Sad. It stayed up for 20 minutes. Long enough. Someone commented with a screenshot. Another person asked why her car financing was under review. By the time she deleted it, it had already been shared. Evan didn't post anything. Instead, he emailed me. Subject: I'm sorry it was short. Direct: I didn't know she used your information. I should have asked more questions. I understand if you don't want contact. I just wanted you to know I believe you, I replied once. Thank you for saying that. Nothing more. The final exposure didn't happen because I announced anything. It happened because institutions don't care about family narratives. The property management company sent my parents a written warning for misuse of tenant information. Their relationship with the firm, one they'd boasted about, one they'd planned to use for a future investment property, was terminated. The bank denied Harper's loan application outright. Not just delayed, denied. The dealership requested the car back within 7 days, or threatened legal action. The bow didn't look as good in the photos after that. At the next family gathering, one I didn't attend, questions came from places my parents couldn't control. Why was the car gone? Why was Harper so upset? Why were people saying identity misuse in hushed tones? My parents tried to minimize it. A misunderstanding. Paperwork issues. Overblown. But the receipts didn't care how calm they sounded. The last message I received was from my dad. You made your point. We hope you're satisfied. I didn't reply. I didn't need to. I blocked the family group chat. I updated my emergency contacts. I redirected my mail. I told my landlord directly that no one but me had authority over my account. He apologized and added a note to my file. Life got quieter. Not immediately easier, but clearer. I spent that spring renewing my lease without discussion. I took on a new role at work with a salary increase that didn't require explanation to anyone. I built savings. I slept better. Harper stopped posting for a while. When she came back, the tone was different. Less sparkle. More quotes about resilience. My parents stopped calling. Occasionally, I'd see my mother's name flash on my phone and disappear before voicemail. She never left a message. I didn't chase closure. I didn't need an apology delivered on camera. What I needed was distance. And I took it. On the anniversary of that Christmas, I donated the same amount as my monthly rent to the housing program I worked for. Quietly. No post. No photo. That night, I cooked dinner in my apartment, alone. Lights low, music soft. No tripod, no audience. Just peace earned slowly, deliberately, and kept. The note she'd given the office. Client may be falling behind. Please send reminders so she understands urgency. I stared at that sentence for a long time. Not because it hurt, because it clarified. This wasn't about money. It wasn't about rent. It was about control. Dressed up as concern, delivered publicly for maximum effect. I added the PDF to a folder on my laptop. I labeled the folder December. I didn't confront anyone. I went to work. I finished the year-end reports. I attended the virtual staff meeting where my director thanked me for holding things together during a tough quarter. I smiled at the right moments. I took notes. I went home. That night, Harper posted the car. A carousel of photos on Instagram, the bow, the interior, her hand on the steering wheel, nails visible. Caption, grateful doesn't even begin to cover it. Family is everything. The comments filled fast. You deserve it. Goals, so proud of you. My mom shared it to Facebook with a heart emoji and the words, best Christmas ever. I watched it all without interacting. 2 days later, my dad called. I let it go to voicemail. Hey, his voice said casual, your mom's upset. She feels like you overreacted. We were just trying to teach responsibility. Call me back. I saved the voicemail, then Harper texted. I don't get why you had to storm out. It was awkward. I typed a response. Deleted it. Typed another. Deleted that too, finally. I sent, I didn't storm out. I left, she replied with a laughing emoji. Same thing. I didn't answer. The following week, my mom emailed me. Subject, let's clear the air. The body was longer. Polished. Carefully worded. She wrote about family expectations, about how they worried I was struggling more than I admitted. About how Harper needed stability right now, and how gifts weren't meant to be compared. About how my independence sometimes made things harder than they needed to be.